Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to Our Issues Birmingham. Today's guest is Clinton Woods. He is one of the newest city council persons who have been recently appointed. We've had Crystal Smitherman on our show, and Clinton is here today, and we're happy to have you. Congratulations.
Thank you, man. Glad to be here.
How did you find your way to where you are? How did you get from A to B? We know your father. We've interviewed him before.
Absolutely. It's a long story, but I'll give you the highlights. So basically,
well, you got 7 minutes. Okay, do the best you can.
Yeah. So I mean, I grew up in District 1. I went to school there. I walked to school in District 1. And,
where is District 1 precisely?
District 1 is kind of out in your Huffman area, on down towards Jeff State and up the Parkway for a portion of that area. So it's it's over on the eastern side of town, and so. I grew up
Sarah
there.
Toyota out that way?
Yep, he's in District 1. So, grew up at the ballpark, Huffman Ballpark, and playing baseball, football. Grew up at the YMCA for summer camp. And just really remember, man, just all of the stuff we had in the district from businesses. We had restaurants, you had skating rings and things. We just had a lot of stuff there in the district. And so we look at it today, and a lot of the businesses are gone. And so a lot of things are gone. But when I look at the residents, I look at the neighborhoods, and for the most part, the homeowners, the property owners have done a good job of taking care, maintaining their property. And so we kind of look at the shortfall, and we have to get creative in how we're going to go about attracting some things back to that district. And one thing I really want to make sure we do, we don't want to get caught up in what we don't have. And so a big part of what I want to do also, we're going to go out and appreciate the businesses that are there, because we do have great businesses that are there. We do have some great restaurants that are there, and we really have to make sure everybody knows about them.
Costas.
Yeah. I mean, I went by, spoke to him, man, and they're staying there. They've been dedicated to being there, and just kind of heard some of their concerns. And I think it's on us to kind of hear those concerns and take some action to correct them. So kind of jumped ahead a little bit, but yeah, I grew up there and just kind of, just got a heart for the district. And
did you go to college after Huffman High?
I went to Sun Valley Elementary, I went to W.J. Christian Middle School, and then I went to Shays Valley High School, and then kind of went on to University of Tennessee, Chattanooga.
You played sports there, right?
Played football, played on football scholarship, got the opportunity, got an undergrad degree in economics before returning back home, and went to UAB for grad school, and got a master's in engineering and construction management. And so, once I finished that, I decided I was done with school. And
that's enough. That's enough.
That was enough learning there. So we got to work, and my dad was a general contractor. So I spent all my summers and Christmas break growing up, out working. And I always try to, I like to tell people I had a great work ethic, and I just really love to work. But the truth was, man, if you're 13 years old and you got $200, you are rich. And so I stayed out there as much as I could, and as much as they would let me work, I did. But what happened, I ended up learning everything from the ground up. And once I was able to attend UAB and kind of gain that other side classroom knowledge to place with it, it really gave me a 360-degree insight on that industry. And so I worked for my father a while, and then ended up starting my own general contracting business here in Birmingham.
Well, I think that's a great background, and I'm going to philosophize with you. I appreciate your education. I appreciate my education. My parents wanted me to go to college. My parents didn't go to college.
Right.
But sometimes I hear from people your age that they wish perhaps they had spent those 4, 5, 6 years.
Right.
Very few people get out in 4 years these days, and you went even beyond that, in a business.
Right.
If they had opened a business and spent that amount of energy and time,
right,
where would they be compared to where they are when they graduate with a college degree, with the job market non-existent,
right,
or limited, and a gazillion dollars of student loan debt?
Yeah. You actually, I think you didn't intend to, but you hit a passion area for me. And so
Oh, yes, I intend
one
to.
thing,
everything I say, I
well,
intend
yeah,
to say.
that's why they pay you the big bucks. But
I wouldn't go that far.
when you look at what we do with our young people, we ask 17 and 18-year-old kids to decide what they're going to do for the rest of their life before they leave high school, and they have to make that decision. And I look at it differently.
It's unreasonable to expect
and it's
that.
it's not reasonable for them to take that decision on and then to expect them to make a perfect decision. And so, I look at it as more on us to prepare them and help them understand what their skills are. Why do you want to go to college? Like there's a reason, and one thing I talk about is college is an investment. So anytime you make an investment, you're looking for return on investment. And so if you're going to get a basket weaving degree, what does that future look like for you? And so when you decide that you're going to college, when you decide that you're going to get a degree, you need to have, what am I going to do with this on the other side? What is this going to help me do? And if you don't have that answer, you don't need to go. You need to wait and be prepared. And one thing that we do want to do is introduce a wide array of options. And so we have here locally, we do have access to a very good automotive industry that's growing. So we have a lot of different things. There's skilled trades that you can do. And so we have to do a better job of exposing them to every option, every available thing that's out there.
Yeah, and just like you said, you're asking someone at 17 or 18 to decide at 17 or 18 where they want to be at 22 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 30.
Right.
And I promise you, when I got out of college, I wanted to deal blackjack in Las Vegas. That made my dad very proud.
Well, I'll share a quick story. When
I ended up in law school.
Well, I left high school. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I was going to be a computer engineer. My whole, I'd said that. And I go to college. I go to orientation, and they're taking me around with all the computer engineers, and they're showing me the calculus 1 class, the calculus 4 class, and all this stuff. And I walk out of orientation. I call my mom, and the street just happens to be empty. I think a tumbleweed rolled across, and I just call Mom. It's this real weird scene, and it's like, Mom, I don't know what I want to do anymore. And it's literally, I'm there, and for so long I thought I did, but we hit that moment. I was like, this is not what I thought it was. And so, you have to be better prepared going into these situations.
Yeah. Hold that thought. We'll talk some more about what your plans are when we come back from break. This is Our Issues Birmingham. I'm with Clinton Woods. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham. I'm with Clinton Woods, Birmingham's newest city councilman and second youngest, I think.
Second youngest.
At the ripe old age of 31.
Actually, I might be third youngest.
Because of
Hunter.
Hunter.
Williams might be. We're close. I'm not exactly sure which one of us is younger.
Well, I told him before we started taping that it really was encouraging to me to see youth and enthusiasm getting in positions to make a difference in our community.
Right.
Because we hear such horrible news regularly. As a matter of fact, the news thrives on horrible news. I wish they would report happy things more often than violence and crime. We'll talk about that in a bit. But right now, I want to get back to the job creation issue, especially amongst our youth. Mayor Woodfin has recently talked about, and it was reported in the Wall Street Journal, about an apprenticeship program. That was through Mercedes. I know Sarah Toyota out there has something similar, and I'm sure there are other businesses. So, especially in your district or citywide, where do you see opportunities to be able to direct the youth into those areas where they can learn a skill? Birmingham Housing Authority would be a great, Birmingham Homeowners Association would be a great place to put hammers and teach people craftsmanship and things of that nature.
Yeah, so I mean, it's we have a problem. We kind of identified it, but the good thing about it is we already have jobs, and so what we have is a shortage of people ready with the proper skills to take the jobs.
We do have jobs,
and so we have jobs. So that's typically the harder part. And so,
well, I'm glad to hear you say that, because other people I've interviewed say on the county level, we do have jobs. On the city level, we're
Right.
limited.
Right. And so, I mean, I think what we have to look at is when we're talking about jobs, is opportunity in a reasonable distance from you. And so we can't get overly tied to the job being in the city limits. But like I said, we have auto industry, we have, I had opportunity to talk to the representative for Mercedes that's here in Birmingham or here in Vance. And so, he talked about the need to desire to really go in and get into these high schools early just to present the program to the students and the parents. And so what we have, and it just goes back to everybody's just so conditioned to go to college, go to college, go to college. And if you're going to college, that's great, but you need to know why and what you intend to get out of this degree. And so I think what we have to do is get the parents involved more so that they can make the decision hand in hand with their child as far as what you're going to do, because the opportunities, and kind of the overall end game of college is earning potential. And so when you're going to college, the whole purpose of this whole thing of studying and going to class every day is so that when you finished, you have an increased earning potential. And so what we have to do is show people that, look, you can earn at the same levels if you have the proper skills. And so you're not trapped on one path. You have several options available to you. And so I'm excited about what the mayor has started to talk about and started to do, because he's bringing these people to the table and giving them an opportunity to participate in the process. So this apprenticeship program will literally allow us to pull our students out of our high schools, match them up with companies, and begin the process of learning the skills they need to fill the jobs that are already here.
Well, how do you get that information to the parents,
Right.
to the students?
Right. I think it's twofold. We share the information with them, but it's overcoming.
I mean, this show is one way to do it.
Well, I mean, that's one, but I think it's overcoming the constant, thing that people tell you to go to college, go to college. So as part of that is parents want their kids to go to college because that's just what society tells you you're supposed to do.
It was in my generation.
And so when you're breaking that, and kind of when that happened, college you used to walk out of college with a degree
and a job
and had options. and now you walk out of college with a degree and you're right back at almost square one, because your degree is not returning the value you thought it would.
And you're in debt.
Let's not. I don't want to go into that. We're going to talk about that for the rest of the day. But I mean, you literally are starting out life, without the earning potential you thought you would have, in a hole, and you're trying to climb out, start a life for yourself, raise a family, and it's just not ideal. And so, if people could come out of high school either with a plan to go through college for a specific purpose, or walk right into a job where they begin to, in 4 years, they're going to be earning as much or more as college graduates. And so I'm a contractor. And so, I work with a lot of subcontractors that some of them, plumbers, electricians, may or may not have gone to college, but have built strong businesses here.
HVAC.
And employ people, so it's all about having a plan and exposure. And so that's one of the things that benefited me, is that, my dad would, literally, I was a kid that was quiet, and so my sister wasn't, so she couldn't come, but my dad would take me almost everywhere because I could sit in a meeting and I would sit there and be quiet. And so I literally got the opportunity to be exposed to so many things. And if it was something somebody knew that he thought I should learn, he'd drop me off and he'd leave me. And so I would sit there with somebody I didn't know and hang out and learn stuff. And I would just go around to meetings with people, and I was just exposed to a whole lot of things. And so that benefited me. And that's what I want to make sure we do for our students, is let's bring in judges, let's bring in automotive industry representatives to talk to them. Let's bring in college representatives so they know specifically what's reasonable to expect. But the whole point and everything that we should be preparing our students for are to be productive citizens, but to also have earning potential and to maximize what we have here. And so we have a growing amount of tech jobs. We have a growing amount of jobs in the automotive industry, and we have a growing need for skilled trade individuals in the construction industry. And so I earlier this year, was in need to bring in additional carpenters, and it was a lot more difficult than it should have been to find some. And so those are kind of the things that we have to do and really, build on what's here. But we have to make sure people, one, know about the opportunities for the training, but then two, can, really if college is not your thing, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Hold that thought. I want to talk about the city council and its new group of folks that are involved, because we've got two new fresh faces.
Absolutely.
I'll be right back. Don't go away. This is Our Issues Birmingham. Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham. I'm talking to Clinton Woods, who's discussing with us his role, or how he perceives his role in city government in his new position as the council person. Historically, Clinton, it's been a little contentious.
Right. Absolutely.
And that would be a tremendous understatement between prior administrations and the city council.
Right.
Historically, the president of the city council was sort of the voice for all the other council people, and the other voice was the mayor. These days, and I don't mean in this current time frame, but in recent administrations, it's almost like there are 9 different voices.
Right.
Do you feel that the current makeup of the city council and the mayor is more unified and more cohesive, or at least working towards that?
Right.
Do you feel that? Do you see that in action while you're there? I know you've only been there a brief
And I mean,
period
I
of
think
time.
that was a big part going through the process. That's one thing I wanted each counselor to know. Like, I'm going to be somebody you can work with, and I will work to resolve differences, behind the scenes. And so I think that's important, because we do, as the council is currently constructed and the Mayor Council Act that's in place, the strength of the council is only tied in our ability to work together. And so I think one thing that's important, you kind of talked about the contentiousness, and so what we were having and what we do have to a certain extent now is people will watch and come to the city council meeting not to be informed about what's going on in the city, but for entertainment value.
For the show.
Yeah, for entertainment value, and that's not what this should represent. And
No.
so I'm committed to.
Some of them wanted to be in the show.
Right, and so we're here for a purpose. We're here to move the city and get business done. And so, and I have a different background, so I grew up in the business world, and
Well,
so
you bring a lot to the table.
if you didn't produce it, like, it wasn't if you showed up you got paid on. If you didn't produce anything, you
Unless
didn't
you
make
work
anything.
for the federal government.
Right, and so we did, that didn't happen. So we had to, and I watched my dad do it, and if he was able to produce and there were opportunities, things were good. If it was slow and it wasn't, things weren't. So you had to continually every day go back out there and work to get stuff done. And so everything I do is from a effective efficiency production. And so if it doesn't produce anything, I'm probably not going to do it. And so that's kind of my mindset. And so, one of my goals is to get the meetings finished by 12 o'clock every week. And so we're going to work on that. But it's just, if you come in, if everybody's prepared and just kind of goes through the agenda, I think we have a great opportunity for this to be one of the most united councils that we've seen.
Yeah. What we don't want to see is competition between districts.
Right.
Like, well, if I did that for District 2, then I got to do this for District 6. Well, I'm not going to do that for District 2 because you didn't do this for my district. I'm not going to do that for that's divisive.
Absolutely.
So Mayor Woodfin has always talked about the 99 neighborhoods. And each council person, of course, represents a piece of those 99 neighborhoods. Right. So what I hear you saying is the spirit of the existing council is more unified than you've seen from the outside looking in, now that you're on the inside, than it has been in the past. Right. And do you think Mayor Woodfin is sort of the ringleader in making that happen, or is it a combination of everybody, sort of the fresh faces we have in there?
Well, just in the construction of the mayor council form of government, there's a built-in your own opposing sides, and you sit on opposite sides of the table. And what we have to do is, when we come to that table and sit down, even though we are on this side and that side, we have to work together, to do what's best for the city. And so I think we all have good relationships. I think there's things that we agree on and things that we disagree on. But, any conflicts that will come is going to be based out of really passion that each counselor and the mayor has to do what they think is best to move the city forward. And so I don't think that, we may have contention, but I don't think it'll be rooted in anything other than just desire to do what's best in the city. And so that opportunity is there. And even kind of mentioning, we can't get too tied on district lines. And so I've talked to Councilor Parker, Councilor Williams, and we share borders. And there's key areas that may be in District 2 or District 4 that directly benefit District 1. And so we want to support those things, and we want to push to make those things happen, as well as see growth throughout the city, because we represent a district, but we also represent the city as a whole, and it's up to us to be, we're that legislative body for the city. And so it's not just my district. I can't get too tied to this, because we have a responsibility to every resident in the city of Birmingham.
Well, I would think, just logically speaking, there's a spillover effect. So if something's good for the goose,
Right.
it's going to be good for the gander as well.
Right. And so look at it.
And so it builds off of itself.
Right.
It spreads.
Right. And so you kind of look at that. I believe 2017, you're at a $420 million budget. Now going to this year, you're sitting about $436 million. So we're seeing some growth as far as the budget. And so what we have to do is see what's the things that we're doing to cause that and duplicate them. And so
Thanks for being with us.
absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You've been a breath of fresh air. This is Our Issues Birmingham. We'll be back next week. Hope to see you then.